In the dark history of American crime, few figures evoke as much fear and fascination as Richard Ramirez, infamously known as the Night Stalker. His reign of terror over Los Angeles in the mid-1980s left a city gripped by fear and uncertainty. Today, we delve into the chilling story of one of the most notorious serial killers in modern history, exploring the harrowing crimes that shocked a nation and forever altered the lives of countless victims. Richard Ramirez was born Ricardo Leyva Muñoz Ramirez on February 29, 1960 in El Paso, Texas. His early life was marked by poverty, abuse, and neglect. As the youngest of 5 children, Ramirez grew up in a turbulent household. His father, a former police officer turned laborer, was known for his violent temper and often subjected Richard to physical abuse. These experiences at home would shape the young boy's understanding of authority and violence. Richard's childhood was further darkened by a close relationship with his older cousin Miguel, a decorated Vietnam War veteran. Miguel introduced Richard to the macabre realities of war, sharing graphic stories and photographs of atrocities committed during his service. This exposure to violence and death had a profound impact on young Richard, fostering a fascination with brutality that would follow him into adulthood. He witnessed his cousin Miguel fatally shoot his wife during a domestic dispute, a sight that left an indelible mark on him. This incident, combined with his chaotic home life, led to increasing behavioral problems. Richard struggled in school and began experimenting with drugs, eventually dropping out and turning to petty crime. By his teenage years, Ramirez had already developed a troubling criminal record. He was arrested multiple times for theft and drug possession, and his behavior became increasingly erratic. After moving to California in his early 20s, his criminal activities escalated. He drifted through various cities, committing burglaries and thefts to support his drug habit. This transient lifestyle and growing addiction to cocaine fueled his descent into darkness. In 1984, Ramirez's dark fantasies took a deadly turn when he began a series of brutal attacks that would earn him the notorious title of the Night Stalker. His first known murder was the slaying of 79-year-old Jenny Vinco in her own home in June of that year. The brutality of the crime shocked the community and marked the beginning of a terrifying spree that would last until August 1985. Over the next year, Ramirez would become a figure of unimaginable fear and horror in the Los Angeles area. Ramirez's crimes were characterized by their randomness and extreme violence. His victims were chosen without regard for age, gender, or race, making it nearly impossible for authorities to predict his next move. He attacked people in their homes, often breaking in during the night, a time when they felt most secure. The randomness of his attacks and the brutality with which they were carried out left the community in a state of constant fear and anxiety. His methods varied widely, from shootings and stabbings to beatings and sexual assaults, and he often left behind disturbing symbols and messages that added to the fear and confusion surrounding his identity. Ramirez's lack of a consistent modus operandi made him particularly difficult to track, and his ability to evade capture only heightened the terror he inspired. Each attack was marked by a level of brutality that was shocking even to seasoned investigators, and the seemingly arbitrary nature of his crimes meant that no one felt safe. One of the most terrifying aspects of Ramirez's crimes was his ability to blend in with his surroundings and strike without warning. He would often case neighborhoods for days, observing the routines of potential victims before making his move. His ability to remain undetected allowed him to carry out his attacks with a chilling level of precision and confidence. This sense of unpredictability and the sheer brutality of his attacks left the city of Los Angeles in a state of constant fear. As the Night Stalker's crime spree continued, the media coverage and public fear grew. News reports detailed his gruesome attacks, and the police were under immense pressure to catch him. The fear in the community was palpable, with residents taking extreme measures to protect themselves. Doors were locked, windows were barred, and many people lived in a state of constant vigilance, never knowing if they might be the next target. Despite the intense fear he generated, Ramirez was eventually brought to justice through a combination of diligent police work and sheer luck. The breakthrough in the case came when a fingerprint left on a stolen car was matched to Richard Ramirez, a known criminal with a history of drug use and petty thefts. His mugshot was quickly circulated, and a massive manhunt ensued as authorities closed in on the elusive predator. On August 30th, 1985, Ramirez was captured in a dramatic turn of events. After being recognized by a group of citizens in East Los Angeles, he was chased down and subdued until police arrived to arrest him. The image of a bloodied Ramirez being led away in handcuffs became a symbol of the community's triumph over the terror that had gripped them for so long. His capture brought a sense of relief and closure to a city that had been living in fear for over a year. The trial of Richard Ramirez became a media spectacle, dubbed the trial of the century. The courtroom was filled with tension as details of his horrific crimes were revealed. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Ramirez remained defiant, often displaying bizarre and unsettling behavior. His lack of remorse and callous demeanor shocked the public and added to the notoriety of his case. Ramirez's trial was marked by intense media scrutiny and public fascination. The courtroom was packed with spectators, and the proceedings were covered extensively by the press. The trial revealed the full extent of Ramirez's brutal crimes, and his complete lack of remorse was evident to all. He often taunted the court with satanic symbols and defiant outbursts, showing a chilling indifference to the suffering of his victims and their families. In September 1989, Richard Ramirez was convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 14 counts of burglary. He was sentenced to death and incarcerated at San Quentin State Prison. During his time on death row, Ramirez maintained a grim celebrity status. He received fan mail and marriage proposals, highlighting a disturbing fascination with his crimes. Despite his conviction, he showed no remorse for his actions, and his lack of empathy and repentance continued to haunt the families of his victims. His defiance and lack of remorse made him a chilling figure, and his continued presence on death row served as a stark reminder of the horrors he had inflicted on his victims and their families. On June 7, 2013, Richard Ramirez died of complications from B-cell lymphoma while on death row. His death brought a sense of closure to the victims' families and the city of Los Angeles. However, the scars he left behind continue to resonate, serving as a reminder of the darkness that can exist within the human soul. The impact of his crimes continues to be felt, and the lessons learned from his reign of terror remain relevant to this day. Richard Ramirez's legacy is one of fear and pain. His name remains synonymous with terror, a stark reminder of the evil that can exist in our world. The Night Stalker's reign of terror changed the way people thought about safety and security, and his story continues to serve as a chilling example of the depths of human depravity. The fear and suffering he inflicted on his victims and their families will never be forgotten, and his story serves as a cautionary tale of the potential for evil that exists within us all. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories, and let us know in the comments who you'd like us to cover next. Stay safe.